Okay, we are working on meals in a jar. This one is pot roast in a jar.
Thank you for choosing PRP Farms. We hope you enjoy this episode of Canning with Nene.
It is out of the Ball, which one is this? The All New Ball Book of Canning and Preserving. They have a green section in the middle that is meals in a jar. So this is the pot roast in a jar. Now, it says to mix everything together in a large bowl, then fill the jars. I like to layer it for the fact that I know each jar gets what it's supposed to have, equal amounts. Because when I try to mix it all up, something always ends up with more than the other. So I thought I'd bring you along for you to see. Now I'm going to start out with weighing my jar, because each one of these, it calls for 2 pounds of meat per 2 jars. So the recipe is for 2 jars, but I'm making 3 batches. So each jar, that means each jar would get 1 pound of meat. So we're going to tear out the scale. Y'all see over here at the scale? So hopefully y'all can see. We're going to do 1 pound in each jar. And I have extra meat because I have another recipe that I'm going to do also. It'll be beef stroganoff. But I just cut what I have. Well, that's a lot of meat in there, isn't it? Okay, we're going to go with what it says. We'll see. I think, it's all going to pack down too. Funny how different brand jars weigh different. You would think they would all be the same. This meat is meat that we raised here on the farm. This was our cow that we just had butchered, if you've seen any of the videos. And some of these recipes I have done, I've done this one before, but I've put off doing it because the price of meat. Well, with us doing our cow, I have plenty of meat to do things I would like to do, and not have to worry about buying the meat for it. So I was excited to be able to do it. But each jar, oh, I didn't put my funnel back in there. Let's tear it out again. Each jar gets 1 pound. I just trimmed it up, cut it up, real pretty meat. He was very lean because he was grass-fed, grass-finished. My cows are all grain-free, even my dairy cows. Everybody's grain-free. So he was very lean, which is good for most things. Not like my hamburger meat, we had to add some fat into it to get it to be where I wanted it, but just with it being so lean, you have to just cook it slower, pay attention to what you're doing. Okay, let me wash my hands and I'll be back. Okay, my hands are washed. Next we're going to do, calls for 1 cup of potatoes per recipe, so that means each jar is going to get half a cup. We're going to be having to pack some stuff down in there, aren't we? We might do the onions next, that way they can fall down in the cracks. Yeah, I was trying to get several beef recipes done today, but I didn't have enough meat out to thaw. I thought I had a little more than what I did, so I have enough. I had enough to do 6 of these jars and almost enough to do 6 of the beef stroganoff. And then the third recipe I was wanting to do was shredded chipotle beef tacos. Now it called for brisket, but I wasn't pulling out a whole brisket to do that with, so I was just doing roast. So I ended up getting some more roast out to thaw, so some of it I might have to put away and finish another day. Tomorrow I'm going to be busy. I'm going up to the church and we're going to prepare a meal for the Baptist student ministry at our local college, or university. It's university now. So I'll be up there tomorrow doing that. And then Wednesday we will go serve up there. Some of the onion didn't cut very good. But we get, let's see, calls for, look at the right recipe, 1 cup of diced onions. So we're going to get half a cup in each one, just like the potatoes. Ooh, these are some strong onions, y'all. Be glad you can't smell them. You know what I've started doing when I cut onions? I've started using, I don't know if you can see my little fan here. I've learned that if I have a fan blowing across it, blowing at me, you would think it would blow the onions to you. But if I have that fan blowing, the onions don't bother me as much. So that has worked. I've tried different things over the years, but that seems like the best so far. Look, that's packing down in there good. Okay, after the onions, we need a half a cup of celery per 2. Let me get a smaller cup for 2. So we're going to do a 1/4 cup for each one. We're just going to not worry with the funnel. Now when I cook beef stew, normally I don't put celery in it. This recipe calls for celery. I don't mind the celery. So we'll see how it turns out in this. Because like I said, I've made this before, but I don't remember putting celery in it. Or if I did, I don't remember. So, but I like celery, so we'll see how it goes. Okay. Next is 1 cup of carrots per 2 jars. So we're going to go back to our half a cup measure cup. We're going to put half a cup of carrots in each one. And we got to get that packed down because we can't have it over that headspace. So we got to work it all down in there. We still got to get our spices, and it calls for red wine. And then whatever you need to top off to make the headspace, you use, oops, had an escapee there. This one needs a couple more. You finish it off with broth. So we'll see how much it holds. It says it could only use a couple of teaspoons of broth time you get through, so we'll see. I'm dropping these carrots, y'all. We'll see what happens with all this. Okay, that's all the vegetables. Get it packed down in there. Okay, I think the next thing, we need to work on our spices, but I think I'm going to do, it calls for bay leaves, so it gets 1 bay leaf per jar. I'm going to go ahead and get them put in there before it gets any fuller and I can't get them in there. So I don't know where everybody's from, but we have a big HEB, the HEB Plus, and they have a bulk spice aisle, and that's where I get a lot of my spices from. That was half a leaf. We're going to put another piece in there. And that's where I get these bay leaves. Because a lot of spices have gotten so expensive, but I can get them so much cheaper. Put a little one in there with that one. Like, I got a whole little baggie of bay leaves. Let's see, it was 0.045 ounces, 39 cents. I've had them for a while now. I've been using them like crazy. So, I like it when I can find a way to save my money. Maybe y'all have a place that's not H-E-B that y'all can do. Oop, I have one in that one already. Everybody's got one. Maybe y'all have a place somewhere where y'all have a refillery. I've been seeing those. We don't have a refillery here. So that would be nice. Okay, let's start with salt. It calls for 2 teaspoons of salt per 2. So that means each one gets 1. And like I said, on the directions it says to mix everything together in a bowl. But this way I know everybody's getting their fair share of everything that goes in the jar. Okay, there's the salt. Next is a teaspoon of black pepper per 2 jars. So we're going to do half a teaspoon. And the seasonings have nothing to do with preservation. They are for flavor. So if you're not a big pepper person, leave the pepper out. If you don't like using bay leaves or don't want to put the bay leaf in there, leave it out. Okay, we got the salt, pepper, the bay leaves. We're going to go ahead and do the thyme. And it's 2 teaspoons per 2 jars, so we're going to do 1 teaspoon per jar. They didn't have my thyme in the bulk aisle this time, so I had to buy it off the shelf, but it's still good. It's H-E-B. Now, one thing with canning spices, or seasonings, whatever you want to say, they can get a little bit stronger with the pressure canning. So, like I said, if there's something you don't like, just leave it out. Okay, there's our thyme. The last thing it called for was sliced garlic. Well, I didn't want slices of garlic in there, so I have minced garlic, you know, jarlic. I do buy jarlic. So we're going to do, calls for 2 garlic cloves. Well, a teaspoon of garlic is around a garlic clove. So we're going to use a teaspoon each. And we like garlic. So if it's a little more, it's okay. Okay, sorry about that. The battery died. New camera. I didn't know the tripod charges it too, so we'll see what happens. Okay. Got the garlic in there. I think we got, let's see, salt, pepper, bay leaves, garlic cloves, dried thyme. Now we've got the red wine to put in there. We'll put that in there, and then, you know, it might not even take any beef broth. We'll see. I've got some ready. Now, everything so far has been room temperature. The wine is room temperature. It says to use hot broth, but everything else has been cold. So I don't do that. I start out with a cold can or well, the broth is not cold. It's cool. I mean, it's warm, but it's not hot enough to affect the jars. So I start out with cold canner and everything because I don't want any thermal shock stuff. So we're going to do, let's see, what does it call for? Calls for a cup of dry red wine per 2 jars. Okay, I was fixing to do 1 per jar. Okay, so we're just gonna, I know this is not for liquid, but we're gonna go with it because this is what I have. And with the meat being raw, it'll make beef broth on its own too in there. You know, it'll produce some liquid. Whoop. Might should have used the funnel on that one. And this is just a cheap Merlot that I buy at H-E-B. I'm not a wine person. I don't buy wine. But it called for it in here. And I cook with wine some. But it's not like I'm like a connoisseur and I know what to buy. I just know the lady that works the wine department that I know. I've told her before I wanted a red wine to cook with for different recipes, and she suggested a Merlot. If y'all know something better, let me know. This was just a cheap one, like I said, at H-E-B. I'm glad I bought a new bottle because it about took it all. Let me find my little bamboo skewer before we start adding broth. Can y'all see all my mess behind me, my shelves? I got so much stuff. Between farm stuff, milk stuff, canning stuff. So we're in what I'm calling my bakery. I started setting it up for doing all the bread baking we do for the market. Now I'm not through with this yet. We are going to add the broth, but I was just wanting to kind of debubble where we're at, get some of that down in there so it's not so hard when it's fuller. Because we're going to have to push all this back down below that mark. You could do these in, it calls for 2 quarts per recipe, but you could also do it in 4 pints. So if it's just, you know, just you, or just you and a spouse, or you and a child, you and whoever, a couple people, you could do it in pints. I haven't done this in a while, but I think the quart was enough for me, Marty, and Angel. You know, me, G-Paw, and Super Helper. So, if not, we'll see. I can open another one, or we can have a salad or something with it, or, you know, we do bread. Me and my bread. This one, you gotta get back down there. We want everything below. Look, my hands are clean, y'all. Y'all saw me go, or y'all know I went and washed them. We're going to get it all packed down in there since we've got it debubbled so far. Now we just need to top it off with some more liquid. Everything trying to float back up. But this is another time. This is why you clean those rims, because you get stuff on them. Get down in there. My bay leaves are getting broke up. They might get lost down in there. This is my paper towel for my vinegar. I'll have to get another one. Let me get my broth over here. And I haven't made beef broth yet with all this meat that we've gotten. You know, they saved me my bones. So I had to use the better than bouillon. Let's move some of this stuff around. I went to the commercial kitchen today and bought some more lids from my half sheet pans that I use. And look, we're just gonna go get a ladle. I figured how to pour that out of here. Let's get a ladle. But I had fun over there dreaming and wishing. Them canners are still going in there with the beans. I will let them finish processing and come down. And then I will process these. That's another reason why I'm not doing hot broth or hot anything, because they're going to sit here a minute. But we're getting them all packed up, and when that canner stops, I'll go in there and when I safely can, because when the timer's up, you've got to turn it off, and then you've got to let it all the pressure come down. You can't just open it or you're sure enough have thermal shock. So, but once it comes down, the next load that goes in will be this. And maybe by then I'll have, when the other canner, the bigger canner comes down, I'll have enough to do the I'll have the stuff ready to do the beef stroganoff. So we'll see how it goes. It all takes time, but it'll be so worth it when I need a quick meal and we have this on the shelf. Because all that I'm out today was I went and bought some carrots and some celery and the mushrooms for the stroganoff and a few things. In fact, most of what I spent is I had bought a couple of pork bellies so I can start some more bacon, because I like to buy the pork bellies and do our own bacon. And I've started, you know, we're starting to try to cut out different things. And so one of the things I'm doing is I'm cutting out, I've been using that pink curing salt. Well, I got to researching and thinking about it. It's got the nitrates and stuff in there we're trying to not have. So I'm going to cut that out and just do it without and see how it turns out. It's just a curing salt. So anyway, I'm trying to cut out some of that stuff. If I can't pronounce it, I don't want to eat it. So we still do some processed stuff, and there's times that we do different things. But I figure if I can cut out as much as I can at home, then if we do eat out every now and then, it's not as bad on us as if we were eating the processed stuff. Oop, there went the bay leaf. I told y'all they was going to try to escape. But, you know, if we can do 75% better, that's 75% better. Did I start with this one? Alright. Now we're going to do our lids. So see how easy that was? If you get everything prepped up, then it just goes boom, boom, boom. Y'all know what we're having for supper tonight? Not beef stew. Or not pot roast. It's not beef stew, it's pot roast. That one went way faster. It started a lot faster than the big canner. Plus we started it before it, but still, it comes to temperature quicker. So we got it turned off, and we'll let the pressure go down. And when we're able to take the lid off and get that stuff out, we'll start this next. If we have to, we can set these in the refrigerator and do them later. Just start out with cold water. You know, cold canner, cold jars, cold canner, everything's the same. You don't want one thing hot and one thing cold, because that's when you start getting the thermal shock. So, alright, those are done. Thank y'all for joining me today. Okay, here we go. This is the pot roast in a jar. So I've got the canner back over on the stove. I rinsed it out from the beans and put the water back up to the mark where it should be. Now we're going to put the pot roast in a jar. It'll look better once it's cooked, but you've got your beef stew. It's onions, carrots, celery, seasoning with the red wine. And we did end up with 7 jars when I got through, because each recipe made each recipe made 2 jars, and I tripled it. Well, I ended up with enough stuff cut up that I was able to do a 7th jar. It didn't quite have as many carrots as the other jars, but it'll still be good. It had plenty of meat and the seasonings and everything. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn my burner on low and put the lid on. Now remember, we're gonna match up the arrows and then close it down. We're gonna start it out on low. Check everything and make sure it's all okay. We're gonna start out on low, and as it gets a little heat, we'll turn it up a little bit. But with everything being cold, I don't want to start it on a high heat, because then it could cause issues. Alright, we're gonna get our last jars out of the canner. Remember, open it away from you so the steam don't get you. This is the beef pot roast in a jar. I opened this canner. It sure smells good. You can smell that rich wine in it. It's packed in there.
Oh, I can smell it now.
Yeah, it smells good, don't it? That's that red wine in it. And then it's got a lot of meat. It was almost full of meat before I started adding the other stuff. It's got a pound of meat in each jar.
So you're trying to say canning is turning you into a wino?
That's what they thought at HEB when I started hollering I couldn't find my bottle of wine.
Oh, that one didn't seal.
They will. It still will.
Oh, okay.
It's just because I crimped it and they haven't sealed yet. But that's it. You can look at the water and tell we had a little bit of siphoning, but as full as they were, I was kind of afraid of that. But that's the end of the day. It's almost 8 o'clock at night, and I'm done for today. Thanks for joining me.
Hope you enjoyed this episode of Canning with Nene. Have a good day. And hey, y'all come back now. You hear?